Well, hello there, and happy Monday to you, and welcome to another live stream of the Break Room. Listen, I know I haven't been here in a while, but I'm so happy to be back with you on today. So, welcome to those of you that are viewing from Facebook, from LinkedIn, and from YouTube. So glad to have you here. If this is your first time being here, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back. And I would love to see in the chat where you're tuning in from. And if you're watching from on the replay, I still would like to know where you're tuning in from. My name is Deetra Dennis, and I am the self care coach for nurses, and I empower nurses to prioritize the care of their MVP, their most valuable patient, which is themselves, so that they can show up as the best version of themselves and impact the well being of those connected to them. And now, here in the break room, this is your nurse self care safe space so that you can break away from the day to day for a brief period just to come in and get empowered to go back out to do those things that that you have to do or you get to do. Let's say it that way, that you get to do. So, we have our theme song. And so this is the song you would say, or you can just verbalize it to someone. If they say, "Where you going?" What you're going to say is, "I have a meeting in the break room. I'll be back real soon. Oh, oh. So that is our theme song. If you're new here, go ahead and have that play along in your thoughts for a while, and next week you'll be ready to sing along with us. So again, tonight we're talking about the signs that you are a multi-passionate nurse. Have you ever heard that before? Put in the chat if you have heard the multi-passionate person. That has been kind of tossed around a little bit. You may have said it, maybe not multi-passionate, but you may have said it too. If you have a young person in your life who is a millennial, you may say that they have multiple passions, but can't settle on one career path, with going to school. Or I've seen the term multi-passionate when it comes to an entrepreneur. The entrepreneur may have multiple talents or multiple interests. Or you may have heard, if it's not multi-passionate, you may have heard of a serial entrepreneur, meaning they have multiple businesses, maybe different industries, but multiple businesses. And so for me, when I saw that word multi-passionate and was really thinking about it and reflecting on my 29 years of being a nurse, and even prior to that, really having a passion for nursing, I was like, it kind of resonated with me a little bit, because I feel like I am a multi-passionate nurse. And we'll get into the one sign that I knew that I was a multi-passionate nurse. But before we go any further, we need to define things before we get into it. So when I looked up the term multi-passionate, basically is, again, as I mentioned already, is having multiple interests or multiple ideas or talents, and you get joy or accomplishment with having the multiple interests, talents, and things of that nature. So it made me think about, as a nurse, being a multi-passionate nurse, it's getting fulfillment when you are serving others. And I'll tell you a little bit backstory of how I came to know, and it resonate with me, that I'm a multi-passionate nurse. And the one sign for me that lets me know that I'm a multi-passionate nurse is that, for me, nursing is more than a career or a profession. It is truly a calling. And I knew this at a very early age, like around 9 years old. I knew that nursing is what I was going to do. And so when I'm saying it's a calling, it is truly divinely inspired. And so when I looked up the term, calling in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, it says that a calling is a strong inner impulse toward a particular course of action, especially when accompanied by conviction of divine influence. So again, it's divinely inspired. And there was a quote, I can't remember who said this quote, but this kind of brings it all in what I mean by it's a calling. Your career is what you're paid for. Your calling is what you're made for. And I'll take it a little bit further because again, when I was sitting really thinking about it, I went to the scripture, 1 Corinthians 12:28. And I feel that a multi-passionate nurse embodies the spiritual gifts when it was listing in that particular scripture about the gifts of an apostle, a teacher of miracles. And then the last two that it said the gifts of healings and helps. And that's to me, I can't say for anyone else, but to me, that's where I feel a multi-passionate nurse. Those are the gifts, and that's why it's a calling. The gifts of healings and helps. And so now let me tell you a little bit what I mean, why I feel that I'm a multi-passionate nurse. In my 29 years, I have worked in many aspects or roles of nursing, but it for me it never ended when I physically clocked out or when I've worked in a administrative type role and having control alt delete on the computer. How many of you know what control alt delete means? Baby, it's a wrap. I'm done for the day, But for me, it didn't in there because I continued my nursing in the community. I'll say feet on the street, because I've always, even with working, if I work 12 hours, 10 hours, or 8 hours, I still, after work, I was in the community. I have volunteered with several organizations in that, American Red Cross, the American Heart Disease, Association of Black Cardiologists. And with them, I actually went out into the barbershops and beauty salons and equipped their barbershop and beauty salons with becoming a blood pressure center, teaching them how to take a blood pressure, and what was normal and what was abnormal and what things, to share with their clients when they're serving them, again, so that everyone could live at their optimal health. I did that. I have been a Go Red for Women Passion Committee member for many years, since 2011. I am an ambassador with the Healthy Heart Nation. I can go on and on. But anyway, again, it's about really ensuring, as I mentioned, what my desire or what I do with empowering other nurses, and so that they can impact the well-being of those connected to them. That for me is what I live on a daily basis. In any way, my desire is to help people live at their optimal health. So again, it was the career, and then I was feet on the street, if you will. And we can say the virtual streets now. I do virtual and some in person. And then I didn't stop there. Then it went to, I was also and still involved with the church, educating or being a support, the church nurse, if you will. And in our community, many times the person that would have on the white uniform on Sundays, that was the nurse during worship service. I did that, but it expanded from there because I'm not sure if you know this, but I do have a certification as a congregational nurse or a parish nurse. And, feel free to include in the chat if you've ever heard of that certification. So it's a congregational nurse or parish nurse. And the role of the nurse is to support, it's a part of ministry, the ministry. And you're providing support to the members, that may have been in the hospital or may need support with being connected to community resources. We actually, back home in Macon, where I'm from, we had an actual room. It was the nurse room, and we had a hospital bed in there. We had a cabinet because I had files on the members. Those that would come in regularly to get their blood pressure checked or things of that nature again, or whatever consultation I did with them in supporting them to live at their optimal health. So that was another aspect of being a multi-passionate nurse. And then, of course, with my family and friends, if anyone needed my support, I've always been there. Have had the opportunity to be a caregiver for family members that were unwell, if you will. Have been there for that. So this again is all at the same time of being a nurse by profession, still volunteering, and being the church nurse and being a caregiver. So that to me is the multi-passionate nurse. I would love to hear in the chat what ways, if this resonate with you about being a multi-passionate nurse, in what ways have you had the multiple passions in your nursing, and how has it been a calling for you? So that's kind of all I wanted to share on tonight. I know, again, I hadn't been with you for a while. Listen, October was my birthday month. So I, was off practicing self-care and enjoying time with family and friends in October. So we're going to have more live sessions where we'll, go a little bit deeper in discussing more about the multi-passionate nurse. And if that resonates with you, I would love to, again, hear in the comments about that. And so, I always like to end with a quote. And you know what? If you will, I didn't say this in the beginning, but, allow me to slow down a little bit and ask or invite you to like the video, share it with someone who you feel could benefit from the things that I shared, or who it sounds like, oh, that might be so-and-so who may be a multi-passionate nurse. Feel free to share the video with them, and then comment below, because that does help. This is a dialogue. It's not just me sitting here talking. It's us having conversations together. And set your notifications on so you're alerted when I go live, or there may be times that I may, upload a video at some other point in time. But, I go live on Mondays at 7 p.m. And if I'm not live, I still will have a video up that will be available on Mondays at 7 p.m. But, I always like to end with a quote. So this one is really good. All of them have been good, but this one's real, real good. So it says, there is no greater gift you can give or receive than to honor your calling. It is why you were born and how you become most truly alive. So thank you for tuning in on tonight, and I look forward to seeing you on next Monday at 7 p.m. And again, go ahead and like the video. And if you would like to learn more about Full Circle Health Coaching LLC, which is my business, you can go to fullcirclehealthcoachingllc.com and take a look around. And again, thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you on next Monday.